A pleasant day to everyone. So, this week's learning session would talk about mice in the Philippines and how the societal forces are shaping the events industry. So, we'll be focusing more on the events industry on a Philippine setting. And here is a glance of the learning outcomes for this discussion. And to start with, MICE industry in the Philippines, or what we call the special events industry, is one of the fastest growing segment of the tourism industry. Why? Because it affects several tourism sectors like transportation, entertainment, accommodation, food and beverage, attractions, as well as retail or the travel trade. And because of the high value spending of the delegates, the exhibitors, and the attendees, it can create multiple benefits to host countries and regional economies. So, for a brief history of how the mice industry started in the Philippines, uh, the events industry in the Philippines can trace back to their roots to the Philippine Tourist and Travel Association. This one, Philippine Tourist and Travel Association. It was established in 1950 and it started, however, as a private initiative to promote the Philippines as a tourist destination. And then in 1972, uh, then President Ferdinand Marcos signed the Presidential Decree 1, and this led to the establishment of the Department of Trade and Tourism and the creation of the Philippine Tourism Commission. So this may be the start or the origin of the Department of Tourism that was during the time of former President Ferdinand Marcos. And then in 1976, it was when the Philippine Convention Industry was born. The Philippine International Convention Center, or what we now popularly call as PICC, was established. So PICC is considered Southeast Asia's first convention center. So it was established at the CCP complex, or the Cultural Center of the Philippines complex. And fast forward to 2016, the Philippines has included the MICE and events tourism as part of its product portfolio. And because of the interest or the growing interest of the Department of Tourism in boosting the MICE and events industry, okay, we have so far established some major reasons why the Philippines can be an ideal host for major international events. And here are some of the reasons. First, we have the availability of modern exhibition and convention facilities. So, especially these modern convention facilities are found mostly in Metro Manila. Okay, some of them are very famous convention center like SMX, PICC, Araneta Coliseum, and so much more. And another reason is that we Filipinos are highly skilled when it comes to our capability to speak in English. So we have an availability of tourism and hospitality professionals. And another interesting reason is that we have a rich and unique mix of cultural traditions which is reflected in our cuisine, in our crafts, and in our festivals. So this draws attention from the attendees and the delegates because it showcases what the culture of the Philippines is like. And also we have different destinations. So we are blessed with a tropical climate and we are blessed with very nice beaches. And also we have a wide range of entertainment options, and we have some of the world's biggest malls. All right. So those are just of the different reasons why the Philippines can be an ideal host for major international events. And this was further strengthened during the 8th UNWTO Asia Pacific Executive Training Program, and it was committed to developing the Philippines and to create a MICE brand or a MICE campaign. Okay, so later on we will be discussing what this MICE is all about. So it's clearly an acronym. And also, it is committed to provide or improve the statistics regarding MICE. So, statistics provide important data which can be used in planning of future events. And then also, it aims to strengthen public relations and publicity, also to professionalize the local MICE industry, produce sales tools, create a customer advisory council, and then also to reconnect with international MICE organizations, because uh, the international market is a lucrative market, especially given the size. All right, and then continue participation in international trade shows. So these are some of the commitments that was established during the 8th UNWTO Asia Pacific Executive Training Program. However, of course, this is aiming to address some of the weaknesses found in the infrastructure and the service standards of the industry. Now, moving on, I would be showing you some of the prestigious events that was held in the country recently or in the past. And what I mean by that is most of the events that happened, or most of the big events that happened, are found in Metro Manila and in some nearby provinces. Of course, one of the major sporting events that happened in the Philippines was the Thrilla in Manila, and this was a boxing match between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. So this event happened in Araneta Coliseum in Cubao, Quezon City. And then, of course, recently, the Miss Universe that was held in the Philippines, all right, that was in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. That was when Pia Wurtzbach is going to pass on her crown to the next uh, uh, to the next Miss Universe. But unfortunately, our candidate that time was Maxine Medina. So I guess, well, she did not win. And then in 2017, we hosted the 30th ASEAN Summit. Alright, this was in April and November 2017. So we hosted prime ministers, presidents, and dignitaries in the ASEAN region, as well as some honorary members of the ASEAN, including Donald Trump, Justin Trudeau of Canada, and also some prime ministers uh, of Japan and China. So this was such a very important event for the Philippines, and again, it shows how capable we are as a country to hold important events such as this one. And one of the most popular events that happened recently is the SEA Games, or the Southeast Asian Games, which happened in 2019. So there are several events and there are several places and venues where some sporting events were held. And of course, the opening and the closing ceremonies happened in the Philippine Arena in Bulacan. So this was considered one of the most popular and also one of the most controversial events that we have hosted recently. And we have a Republic Act 9593. So this is to further improve the tourism policies of the Philippines. It is considered the Tourism Act of 2019, and it declares tourism as an important engine for investment, employment, growth, and also national development. And it strengthens the Department of Tourism and all of its attached agency under it to effectively and efficiently implement the different policies and to allot and allocate funds to achieve these objectives. So that is the Tourism Act of 2009. Now we go to the different societal forces influencing the MICE industry. First, when we talk about societal forces, so these deals about the societal fabric, meaning the people and all of its citizens in a certain country or destination. So we start with the power of the baby boomers. So the baby boomers are the ones born between 1946 and 1964. So and by 2050, there will be a total of about 2 billion senior citizens in the world. So the 2 billion senior citizens by 2050 constitutes about 25% of the total global population. So that's not a small number. 2 billion is 25%. And the silver market, as they called it, are more active than ever. So instead of just sitting on rocking chairs, they are actually engaging into a more active lifestyle. Like they engage in travel, they engage in entertainment, and also in sports and leisure. So meaning to say, even if they are a silver market, they are retired already, they also have money to spend. And of course, if a certain demographic segment has money to spend, of course, that would be a very good and potential lucrative market. So there are events dedicated and specifically uh, aiming to attract the silver market, specifically luxury travel, because they are really are retired individuals and they're just looking for leisure activities. Next, the rise of the millennials. So the millennials are the ones born between 1981 to 2000. So the millennials are a demographic segment that is always connected, content driven, and they have main interest on gadgets, social media or social networking, and user generated sites. So they are, if I'm not mistaken, the first generation, although they were not born in a highly technological decade, but they are the first generation to really adapt to the technology. The use of gadgets, the use of cell phones, the use of computers, and also the use of internet. So, and this is the reason why they are always connected. They always want to engage themselves in discussions, and they always desire for individual or group participatory interaction. So